Good evening, one and all. How are you all doing? Just give me a minute to get my words in the right order, in the right flow. For those of you who don't know who I am, my name is David Daniels. I also go by the name of the Shy Man, self-appointed the Shy Man. Back from when I was a kid, for most of my adult life, growing up with shyness, trying to overcome shyness. I feel I've done that. So, but there's still elements of shyness in me, and me public speaking is a way to overcome that and show the journey I've made and hopefully inspire others. Good evening, Liam. How you doing? So my message tonight is changed. It's changed. I had a message in mind. I've got loads of messages in mind. Hi, Sarah. How are you? I had loads of messages in mind. I've got nearly loads of messages in a book, which I just keep adding to. And at some point, I hope to bring those all to you. But yeah, the message tonight, you see the subject, is a question. I've got my opinion on it. I'm sure you all have your opinion on it as well. And it's about a word, disruption. Disruption. This is kind of a new buzzword. My brother Utum, thanks for joining. Disruption is kind of the new buzzword, in my opinion, at the moment. And this word, disruption and entrepreneurship, entrepreneur, I love the words, but I also have issues with them. And in terms of, I think sometimes people misuse them. For example, the word entrepreneur. It seems like now everybody's an entrepreneur without even knowing what the meaning is. Some people will call me an entrepreneur, and some of the things I've been doing and the way I carry myself and the attitude I have. And I don't totally agree with that. Businessman, yes, perhaps. Entrepreneur, I don't know. Maybe one for the future. Thank you for all you guys who are jumping on. I'm going to give you all a shout at the end. Hopefully you'll stay to the end. Another word is the disruption. Another buzzword at the moment. It seems that everyone's disrupting everything at the moment. Thank you, Utum, for sharing the video. If you feel there's someone who would benefit from this as I'm talking, then please share it. If you don't, then don't share it. Simple as that. Disruption. Everyone wants to disrupt something at the moment. It seems to be a buzzword. The reason I have it's kind of like a two-edged sword with these words is, for me, growing up in the state education system, entrepreneurship wasn't talked about at all. It was kind of get a job, get a degree, and that was it. We weren't shown the other options. So on one hand, where I think people misuse it, all of a sudden everyone's an entrepreneur. At the same time, if the word is getting out there, if it's causing people to think about what is actually entrepreneurship, and it takes them down a route so they can discover what actually true entrepreneurship is, and they can think about, or whether is that something I would like to pursue, or would it be a job? Then for me, it's all good. And it's the same with disruption. What disruption is for companies like, thank you, Utum. Utum says, distributing the seeds of wisdom at Laugh Out Loud. Disruption is like a company like Uber. So Uber is a taxi company, but they own no taxis. They've set up a system where people with their own cars can earn money as a taxi driver. That's not the usual model. That's not the model we've been used to. So that's what's known as a disruptive model. You know what? I'm going to give you guys some shout outs because a lot of you have jumped on board and I'm really appreciative. So, hey Liam, I've said Liam already. Sarah Ponta Ryan, thank you for joining. Utum, my brother. Tracy, how are you? Long time no speak. Hope you're well. Nishi, my sister from another mister. Esther, how are you? Long time no speak. Got Jody. Hi Jody, how are you? Nishi says spread seeds, grow trees. So disruption is a big thing at the moment, and I've got my own plans to disrupt. I want to disrupt the education scene at some point down the line. My dissatisfaction with it, both on a personal level, through my kids' level, I've had so much dissatisfaction with it. I moan about it so much. It's time for me to shut up and do something about it. So part of my long-term plans is to definitely do that on a small level, and then we see where it goes from there. Now, the reason I've put the words Jesus and disruptor together basically comes from last Saturday, where I was on a Bible study course called Walk Through the Bible. Excellent company. I've been a Christian for myself 5 years, and I went to church as a child, as a teenager, but I wouldn't call myself a Christian in that sense because my mum was forcing me to go. I'm grateful for it because she showed me the way that I've chosen to go. So I've got lots to learn about the faith. It's a journey. And the Bible study was great, and it just reminded me about things I never really thought about Jesus. Now you all have your own opinion. Some of you might not even know who Jesus is. As a Christian, Jesus Christ is to me my God, the one that I follow, the one that my faith, and the one that should and does, some days better than other, underpins everything I do in my life. For some of you, it's going to mean something else. This message is not intended to convert anyone to Christianity. That's not what it's about. It's about my take on something, and just maybe if you could just see something, learn one new thing about Jesus, then that's my aim for you tonight. And just even if it just causes you to think, well, you might think what I'm saying is rubbish, it's not true, but if it causes you to go and look for it for yourself, that's my job done. So the reason I've posed the question, is Jesus the ultimate disruptor? Just to give a little bit of background, I'm going to try and keep this quite simple as possible. So Jesus is my Lord. He's my Saviour. He's the one who saved my life. He died on a cross for all of our sins. And he's the King of Kings. There's many names for him. So if you don't know who I'm talking about, just by me describing him, hopefully you get the point across. I'm talking about someone who's high, who's got a lot of power, almost like a king, a queen, a monarchy, a royalist, someone who's high, he's got a lot of power. When he talks, people listen. When he leads, others follow. And I'm sure you can you can think of examples of people. Could be a well-known footballer, could be a politician, someone, a celebrity, if you want to call it, someone who's well-known, who people follow, people want to role model. That's the kind of, he's higher than that, but that's kind of where I'm talking about. So imagine you're talking about this great royalist. Imagine the Queen, actually. Imagine our current Queen. So you think she's the Queen of our country. She's high up. So from day one, she would have been having the best places to live in, the best clothes, the best servants, everything at her disposal. Now, for Jesus, that wasn't the case. He was born in a manger where animals were born. I haven't got enough time to go into the whole story. If you want to, you find it out for yourself. He was born in a manger, small beginnings. Some of the stuff that we do in our own life, hey Alison, thanks for joining, will start from small. Sometimes we want to do everything big, make a big splash. Sometimes the things we start, small beginnings, is not to be frowned upon. So he was born in a manger. Now, when he was growing up, he showed signs of promise. There's things there. I'm sure you know people. It's been said about people. Oh, this kid, whatever, he's got potential to do this or to do that. But he didn't actually start getting going till he was in his 30s. Now, for some of you, you're in your 30s. For some of you, you're older in your 30s. I'm pushing towards closer to the 40s now. But some people have given up on you. Some people have said, oh, you're 30s, you're past it. Has anyone ever told you that or give you an impression? Oh, you're past it. Or you're in a young man's game, or you're in a young person's game. Now, the greatest person, God, in my opinion, as a Christian, didn't really start getting going till he was in his 30s. And as I was preparing for this message, which has only been in the last half an hour, I thought about Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson came to mind. So we all know Michael Jackson was a child prodigy. He had a fantastic voice. He had all the moves from a very, very, very young age. And just imagine that Michael Jackson, we had all that potential when he was 5, 6, 7, and then he did nothing at all, and then he got going again in his 30s. Some people would have said he's past it. Some people would have forgot about him. Some people would have expected, oh, what happened to that early promise? So again, Jesus doesn't follow the norm. We didn't follow the norm in his time. I've got a few notes because I want to stay succinct and on point. So when Jesus got going in his ministry as a leader, he said he was interested in the lost, the forgotten, the despised, the bottom of the bottom, the low, the bottom. Now you think of leaders in our time, royalist leaders. They're very much interested, or even ourselves. If we want to get to the top in somewhere, we want to work with the best. We want to get the people with the highest status in whatever industry that is. And there's not necessarily a wrong thing. It's human nature to a degree. But Jesus wasn't interested in status. He wasn't interested in status at all. He sought to seek the lost. Jesus also didn't have many followers. He had 12 disciples, what he called disciples, people who basically walked with him every step of the way, who lived life with him every day, saw exactly what he did. He was training them. But he only had 12. You imagine Jesus having a Facebook profile and he's only got 12 people. What would we think? We'd think, oh, this guy's not very popular, or I don't know, he's not very popular. Is this guy really a leader? Is this guy really someone to follow? He's only got 12 people. Again, some of you guys, me included, we've all fallen foul of it. We want a lot of Facebook friends, with a lot of followers. We want loads of views on our Facebook lives, what we do. But with those 12 people, the disciples, they brought about the early church, and they spread Jesus' message long after he was gone throughout the whole of the world. This was without no TV, this was without no radio, this was without no Facebook Live, this was without no internet. Yeah, anything is possible. Yeah, think about the resources you've got in a moment. We don't always need to have the latest flashy things. Now, I'm not pouring scorn of what we have in this world, because Jesus' message is the same, but culture changes, things evolve. So the fact that we've got things like Facebook Live and things like that is great. So I'm not saying everything modern and that is bad. I'm just saying, just wanted to think about as someone who's high up, and the path that he trod was not necessarily what we expect of a leader. The people that he chose, the 12 people, these were not, like I say, they were not high flyers in that. These were people who were, in some cases, rejected by other people. They were working in not so glamorous jobs. And again, as I was preparing this, I was thinking about X Factor. I'm sure you all know X Factor auditions. You get people who want to be pop stars, who want to be music superstars. So what's the process they go through? They go through an audition in front of expert judges, and they'll sing, and then the judge will decide if they're good enough to progress. And there's only one person that can win X Factor, and in the end it comes down to the public. But in the very early days, it's the judges who decide who goes through. And most of the time they do it based on talent, if they've got a good voice. Sometimes they'll put through someone because the entertainment value is high, or just for the TV. So they have the pick of the best at their disposal, and they can say, I'll pick you, I'll pick you, and pick you. No, I don't you. So I imagine maybe Jesus as a judge on this X Factor. But what Jesus done, he didn't wait for people to turn up for audition. He went out and he picked those who didn't show any potential at all and said, you come follow me. Just totally flip the way that things are done, or the way we expect things to be done. This was over 2,000 years ago as well. Again, when I said when he was seeking the lost, he was looking, he spent time with people despised. You think about what type of people you despise the most. Tax collectors. He spent time with tax collectors. People at the time said, what are you doing spending time with these people? He spent time with women. Women back in those days were seen as lower than men. He spent intimate time with these people. I just want to think about where some of us want to go in life. We think we've got to reach the top. We've got to get to know the right people. We've got to know people in high places. And sometimes we don't think about those who are in need. Jesus said he came to seek the lost. And I really was reminded of that. I mean, my heart draws to people like the homeless and things like that. But at the same time, I want to be successful. You see a lot of my friends on Facebook are all like further down the head in public speaking and in coaching. If that's what I want to go down, I'm surrounding myself with people who are doing greater things that I am, or have been doing it for longer, have made more progress. And just take a pause there. So to go back to the original about disruption. Now, companies like Uber, companies like Airbnb, do you think everyone is happy that Uber's been on the scene? If some of you watch the news, a lot of people, a lot of companies are not happy with what Uber are doing. They've tried to challenge it in the courts. They've tried to say things like they're taking business away, the drivers are not proper drivers. Airbnb, for those of you who don't know Airbnb, basically me in the property I'm in right now could advertise my property for someone to come and stay in temporary accommodation, and it's what's known as service accommodation. Once upon a time that wasn't the case. If you wanted to stay somewhere temporarily, you'd have to be at a hotel. So Airbnb have come in and disrupted the hotel industry. So it's given ordinary people like you and me a chance to earn an additional income at the expense, if you want to call it that, at the hotel industry. So not everyone is happy with the disruption that these companies are causing. And it was exactly the same in Jesus' day. When Jesus came, the political figures at the time, the government at the time, were not happy with what Jesus was doing. They were not happy at the impact he was having. They were not happy at the following he was gaining. They rejected him. They didn't believe who he said he was. When he said he was the Son of God, they just didn't believe him. And at the end of the day, ultimately, they killed him. The people should have followed him the most because they were all religious at the time. They all followed God. So they should have been for Jesus. Should have been pro-Jesus. But the people who he should have been his biggest supporters ended up actually killing him. So if you're going to disrupt something, if you're going to do something different, if you're going to do something new, if you're going to break the mold, people are not always going to like it. People are not going to always talk highly of you. But if it's ultimately what you want to do and you feel in your heart that's what is right, just keep pushing on, and you will find your supporters. You will find your, what do they call it, your tribe. Almost if you want your disciples, they're there, especially with the communication skills we've got, or tools rather, that we've got nowadays. So when I say Jesus is the ultimate or the first or the original disruptor, that's what I mean. That's what I mean, and I'm comparing it to the current, the modern disruptors, the companies of this day. They come, they shake up the scene, they challenge the status quo, they make people think differently as well. They make people stand up and take notice. Jesus made people stand up, take notice, and actually think about what they were doing with their life, but not really in a judgmental, but through love and through grace, forgiving someone when they don't deserve to be forgiven. And I want us to all think about what we're doing in our lives, especially where we all do it. We judge people. And the big topic at the moment is obviously Mr. Trump, Donald Trump. And for all Donald Trump is about, you don't need me to tell you, but I want, how many of us have actually thought about actually getting into politics based on the dissatisfaction that we have with Mr. Trump and all the other politicians we moan about? I would say more, less so than more so. So instead of judging people, we need to think more about what we can do. And it's a plan of mine at some point to get involved in politics, because I'm just dissatisfied with the political system. But I've had my fill of moaning at people, and enough to question myself and say, what am I doing to try and change things? What am I doing to try and not being arrogant, show these politicians a better way of doing things, or show the people who vote, the people who are not voting rather, that there is a different way to do things, or try and mobilize people just to think, look, we can make a change, or attempt to make a change. Whew. Right. So this message was only thought about in the last half an hour. So it might be not as free flowing, but at the same time I felt this is a message I had to go with, and that's what I was going to talk about. Yeah. So another disruptive industry, if you like, is actually what I'm doing now. Facebook Live, Periscope, which gives anyone the ability to be a public speaker. Now, when Facebook Live, when Periscope, when YouTube Live, when all these things, hey Chris, how you doing? Hope your daughter's feeling better. When all these things came out, I'm sure there were some professional public speakers who thought, I've been studying for years. I've taken all the courses I've taken. I've read all the books. And now all of a sudden there's these platforms available where anyone like me can just, no public speaking experience whatsoever, can just come and speak and have people inspired by that, doing it for free as well. I love what you're saying, Tracy. If you don't agree with something, find a solution. Exactly. We're all here for a purpose, and me included. Some of us have struggled to find out what our purpose is, and it's a journey. But we're not here, but whether you believe in faith, religion, or the Big Bang, we are not here by chance. Even if people have said you were a mistake, you weren't planned, we are not here by chance. We all have a purpose. As someone said, I can't remember, said, we all have an answer to a question, or we all have the solution to a problem. The trick is finding out what that is. So thank you for that, Tracy. And I completely lost my train of thought, but that's okay. Yeah, Facebook Live. Yeah, so we've got public speakers who haven't got the polished PowerPoint, who forget what they say, who lose their train of thought, and yet they're having people follow them, posting comments. So I'm sure there were public speakers who were thinking that Facebook Live and all this is disrupted the public speaking world. And there's pros and cons to everything. Hopefully people find value in what I'm saying and what have you. But I love how Facebook Live has just opened that up for anyone, because public speaking should be, more people should be doing it than there are. It's the fears, the unknown is what we haven't been taught about in our schools. And I just hope, reason why I sometimes come on and it's not polished, it's not professional. This is what my notes are on. It's on the back of a card. Thank you, Chris, for that word. I'm going to touch on that. It's something it's been on my heart. The reason I do this sometimes is, one, for me, well, I used to be a perfectionist. I've changed that now. Strive for excellence. Everything had to be slick, polished. And when I decided to do Facebook Lives, it was just about me just doing it, just taking action. For those of you who've been from the start, you've seen the video I've done upside down. That was by accident. I've made mistakes along the way. It hasn't been perfect. But for me, taking action was the key. But also when I do things like this, hopefully someone out there will be encouraged to, hi Alan, thanks for joining. Someone will be encouraged to think, oh, I can do that. It doesn't look that hard. Sometimes when everything, as a lesson I learned a few years ago, sometimes when everything is slick, especially when you're trying to teach someone something, if everything is so perfect or so slick and so polished, you know what that person may think? I can't do that. That looks too hard. He's got it all sorted, or she's got it all sorted. He's got everything together. Sometimes being rough around the edges can inspire someone, and I hope along the way in the videos I've done, there's been at least one person that have said, "Oh, I can do that," and giving it a go. That for me will be definitely a success for me. I may not even know who that person is, if there is such a person. So that's why I do that. But as Chris put the word involve, and this is something I learned over the weekend as well, we all have to evolve, we all have to grow. So in 5 years' time, if I'm still doing Facebook Lives and I'm still doing stuff like this, unless it's for a specific purpose, it hasn't shown a growth. So I need to think about, this is my hobby, by the way. I see this as my hobby, because I haven't decided to go down the formal public speaking route. But this hobby allows me to impact people. It allows me to touch into my creativity. So for me, it's definitely been a game changer. But I wanna I want to start moving things on. After a while, after 150 or 200 of these, it's going to start becoming a bit out of date. Keep talking about when I was shy and how I'm doing this with shy. I need to grow. I need to evolve. I need to refine, get better at what I'm doing, and that will probably involve at some point some training or some coaching on different techniques I can do to become more impactful, to be more powerful. So thank you for Chris for that word evolving. That's something that's been on my heart for a while now. So on that, we're on 25, and one way of me evolving is to make these shorter, to make these less is more sometimes, to make them more powerful. So I usually aim for 30 minutes. I've been over the weeks trying to whittle that down. I should be on track tonight. I think last week I did about 16-minute one, and that was from watching someone called Jermaine Harris, who is a professional public speaker who happens to do Facebook Lives, and some of these Facebook Lives are 52 seconds, and I've watched them and I just thought he's just got the message just in 52 seconds, powerful. And the other thing is because I value your time. With all this Facebook Live, with all the social media, there's a lot of demand, there's a lot of attention on your time. So the fact that you're joining on me on there, it's not something I take lightly. I don't take for granted, and I really value that, and I value your time. So I don't want to keep you on here for hours on end, even though I may think I have a message for hours on end. We all know time is of the essence for us. So on that note, I hope I haven't missed anyone out to give it a shout out. Henna, thank you for joining. If I read it, said it. Thank you guys for the comments. Yeah, you guys are just a blessing. The guys are just a blessing to me. And I pray this message will be a blessing to you all. Just make you think. Just make you think. Even if you don't know who Jesus is, you don't agree with Jesus, whatever, then take this message again. Think about what you can disrupt. Think about what's your answer to a solution that someone may not have thought of yet. And on that note, I'm going to love you and leave you with a shining smile. I'm back on Facebook on Sunday with prayer time. I do prayers on Facebook on a Sunday. Call it disruption if you want. Doing things a little bit differently, using social media. Other than that, I'll be back, God willing, next Tuesday with another Seeds of Wisdom. Thank you ever so much. God bless. Love you. See you later.